If you're heading into an auction and looking for a buyer's agent in Melbourne, this video is for you. Auctions in Melbourne can be exhilarating, but they can also be brutal. The pace is fast, the pressure is high, and the emotional intensity catches many buyers off guard. I've seen too many buyers overpay or miss out completely just because they weren't prepared. But today I'll share what we've learned from decades in the market and hundreds of auctions. Whether you're a first home buyer or a seasoned investor, these tips will help you approach your next auction with confidence. Firstly, auctions are a performance, so you need to know the script. Let's start with the psychology. Auctions are designed to create urgency. The fast talking auctioneer, the nodding crowd, the countdown, it's all theatre. And if you don't know the script, you're more likely to become part of the audience, not the winner. The key is not to play their game, but to play your own. Here's how. Firstly, set a clear limit. Before auction day, you need to be crystal clear on two things: what the property is really worth and what your final bid will be and why. We do this using a combination of market data, comparable sales, and a deep understanding of buyer behaviour. Your limit shouldn't be a round number or what the agent quoted. It should be backed by logic and evidence. And once you have that number, don't go beyond it. If you miss out, you miss out. But if you win by overpaying, you might be stuck with years of regret. Next, you need to understand the auctioneer. Auctioneers are experts at pushing people past their limits. They'll use pauses, eye contact, and crowd psychology to create the illusion of competition. They'll say things like, it's only 1,000 more, don't lose it for a coffee. But here's the thing, you're the one holding the paddle. We study auctioneer tactics and adjust bidding styles accordingly. Some auctioneers go hard early to flush out serious buyers. Others slow things down to draw it out. The more you understand their rhythm, the more in control you'll feel. Next, know when to bid. One of the biggest questions I get is, when should I start bidding? There's no one size fits all answer. It depends on the context. Sometimes an early confident bid can clear the field, especially when the competition looks hesitant. Other times, holding back allows you to see who your real competition is and let emotional buyers exhaust themselves. But whatever your approach, it must be strategic. Don't just bid because the auctioneer looks at you. Don't let your ego do the bidding. Let the strategy guide you. The next thing is managing your emotions. This is where most buyers get into trouble. You're falling in love with a property, the adrenaline is pumping, and suddenly you're bidding in 10,000, 20,000 jumps. Here's a tip, never bid with your heart. You've got to be the calmest person in the room, and if you're not feeling it. And if you can't stay cool under pressure, that's where a professional buyer's advocate makes all the difference. We remove the emotion, keep the strategy, and often win properties for far less than what others were willing to pay. You also need to plan for a passing. What happens if the property passes in? That's where the real negotiation begins, and most buyers have no plan for it. We're always going in expecting a passing. Why? Because it gives us a second shot, this time behind closed doors. Here's the approach we use. We get a sense of the reserve before going to auction by asking the agent a number of questions and where the reserve's likely to sit. During the negotiation, we keep calm and say very little, giving the impression that we're already at our limit. Stretch the negotiation. Time is your friend, not the agent's. And make the agent justify their reserve. Ask questions. Use comparable sales. Push back. Never believe that there's another buyer outside ready to go. If they were serious, they would have bid. Remember, the agent is now desperate to make a deal. Use that to your advantage. Also, know the competition. You can often get a sense of who you're up against before the auction starts. Ask the agent, are they upsizers, downsizers, investors? Have they bid on other properties? What have they bid to? Are they likely to be emotional? This intel helps you shape your strategy. For example, first home buyers can be intimidated by fast bidding. Investors usually have tighter limits. Knowledge is power, and you can often win the game before it even starts. Remember, the agent is now desperate to make a deal. use that to your advantage. A recent example, to give you a feel for how all this works, recently had an auction whereby a property was quoted very low. Our research indicated the property was worth 20% more than the quote, and our client was prepared to pay that figure. Our conversations with the agent prior suggested there was interest within the range, and the reserve was just above the top end of the quote. Most buyers were first home buyers, so they took control of the auction early with a bid. I did have some competition, but they quickly dropped out, and the property passed into me for an amount just above the top end of the range, but well below where our research was indicating it sat. When it passed into us, the agent gave a reserve even higher than the 20% above the range. However, we were able to push hard onto the agent to work their vendor down, which they did, and we secured it well below the original reserve and well below where the research and where the client was prepared to pay. By being prepared, this saved our client a lot of money. Taking the emotion out of these negotiations is critical, as most of the time agents hold the upper hand in these situations. So whether you're bidding yourself or planning to engage a professional, remember this: auctions aren't just about price. They're about psychology, preparation, and execution. If you've got an auction coming up and you want a cool head and a clear strategy on your side, book a free discovery call using the link in the description. We'll help you approach auction day with confidence and maximise your chances of a great result. I'm Lee McConnon from Buyers Advocate, and this is what we do day in, day out.